the Oklahoma newsroom, you're watching the Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell, and we are brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. Go online anytime and order your pizza at papajohns.com. Time for our inbox segment. We take your emails and answer them here on video. Barry, let's get right to it with this from Reg. Reg says, I won't discount Cody Thomas in this OU quarterback mix. He's going to a scheme which favors him. Barry, lots of questions about the OU quarterback, obviously, after the spring game last week.
And, you know, for a guy that made 3 starts last season, Cody Thomas is not very much discussed. He's sort of left in the wake of Trevor Knight and Baker Mayfield. It's an interesting point. Cody Thomas, I'm not sure I can tell you what scheme favors him.
Yeah.
We didn't see a lot of his throwing. What we saw was not effective last November and December. So I don't have a lot of confidence that Cody Thomas is the man for the job. But I also won't discount any of these guys because Baker Mayfield and Trevor Knight have played much more. And when they've played, they've thrown the ball to the other team. And so I think Oklahoma quarterback job could be fluid even come the start of the season.
You know, they threw it to the other team, but even in the spring game, they didn't throw it to the right guys. I mean, and I don't know if that says more about the OU secondary or about the OU quarterbacks, but it clearly wasn't a good development for those quarterbacks. You know, I'm with Barry. I think that it could be anybody's job, really. I mean, I think even a guy like Justice Hansen, you know, if he does well in two-a-days, we saw Bob Stoops a couple years ago pick Trevor Knight over a wildly popular, as near as we could tell, Blake Bell. And, you know, I don't know if ultimately that was the best decision, but he wasn't afraid to go outside what a lot of people were thinking about. So, yeah, I think this, I would be shocked if we knew by the start of two-a-days. I think it's going to be game week decision of the opener? I don't know. Could it get that close to game time?
I would guess 10 days out. That's sort of what's been Bob's recent history.
All right. Something to monitor for sure. All right, let's get back to the inbox from Greg. Greg says, Billy Donovan or Kevin Ollie? How stupid would that be after firing Scott Brooks? Patino, Calipari, Tarkanian, how many college coaches get to fall flat on their face in the NBA before these experts realize the NBA coaching gig is a special gig for men who can relate to hard-bitten, money-conscious, results-oriented professionals and not college kids?
It's a very good question. I mean, we've seen some college guys go into the NBA and do well. Brad Stevens in Boston, we're seeing it right now.
He's in the playoffs this year.
We're seeing it right now. Maybe the hottest coach in the league. However, it's a very good point that coaching Russell Westbrook is not like coaching the Florida Gators. Coaching Kendrick Perkins and Serge Ibaka is not like coaching UConn. No. With that said, Kevin Ollie spent time here. He was a teammate of all these guys. Yeah. He has their respect. He would have a leg up on some coaches. So Kevin Ollie, I can sort of see. Billy Donovan, not so much.
Yeah, you know, Billy Donovan as an NBA coach it's not completely out of the realm of possibility in my mind, but not with this franchise as it's currently constructed. Maybe when they fired P.J. Carlesimo at that juncture of the franchise, when all of these guys who are now stars were just getting started, maybe that could have worked, but obviously that wasn't what the Thunder did. I think there's probably franchises out there that are young, that are rebuilding, that maybe Billy Donovan could work with those guys. He'd better relate. He could learn with them. They could grow together. Maybe that works. But on a team that has bona fide 2 superstars, a third guy who could easily be an all-star, and a cadre of other guys that seem to be bubbling up like that, that's too risky in my mind. I agree about Kevin Ollie, but I think you and I are both on the record. We think Scott Brooks will be back for next season. I can't see the Thunder turning to a college coach at this point to coach this roster. All right, back to the inbox from Jim. Jim says, maybe it's a good thing that the Thunder missed the playoffs. They would have been one and done out of the series and put more wear and tear on Russell Westbrook's body. This team needs a rest. What about that, Barry?
You know what? I can't agree with the statement that it's better to not make the playoffs. However, that residual effect, I think, is absolutely true.
Yeah.
I think Russell Westbrook did need some rest. Russell actually played outstanding the last 2, 3, 4 games, but if you'll notice, the 2 to 3 weeks before that, he sort of leveled off after that unbelievable March run that he had with virtual triple-double every game. Yeah. I think Westbrook was getting worn down. You certainly can understand that, the way he was carrying this team. I think the rest will do the Thunder good. Think of it this way. 6 extra weeks of rest is coming the Thunder way. 3 of the last 4 years, the Thunder has made the Western Conference Finals. Each playoff series basically is a 2-week ordeal. You don't make the playoffs. When you've been used to the conference finals, that's 6 weeks less basketball than what you're used to. I think it will do the Thunder bodies good.
You know, and I think that it's an interesting point about making and missing the playoffs. I agree. I think making the playoffs is always to a team's advantage, but I was actually having a conversation with Eric Horn, our online editor, today about this very thing, and there's so much that, you know, players learn about themselves, their team in the playoffs, and for young guys, that's always an advantage. But this Thunder season, while not unprecedented, there have been teams that have had rashes of injuries like this Thunder team has. Those young guys were put in positions that most young players aren't in terms of the amount of playing time, the pressure. I mean, let's think. Since the All-Star break, this team has essentially been attempting to play playoff basketball, must-win basketball, essentially for many weeks now. So a lot of those things that are attributed to playoff series in terms of learning and growing, this team had some of that in its regular season anyway. So it's an interesting thing. You always, in my mind, you always want to make the playoffs. And I think everybody with the Thunder would agree. But I think a lot of silver linings, let's put it that way, silver linings can be found in the fact that the Thunder is not in the playoffs this year. All right, one more from Bob. Bob says, why is Portland in 4th place with a worse record than Houston and Memphis? Barry, I've taken calls about this very question.
It's because the NBA is hard-headed and won't admit that it made a mistake. Here's the truth. Portland is not really the 4th seed. Portland is the 5th seed in the West. The NBA just refuses to say they're the 5th seed. What happens is the NBA guarantees that all division winners are no worse than the 5th seed. So Portland's actually should be the 6th seed by record.
Yeah.
They're the 5th seed. In reality, they're the 4th seed by declaration. For some reason, the NBA says that you can be no worse than the 4th seed. However, in the 4th and 5th matchup, you won't have home court advantage. What's the point of being the 4th seed if you don't have home court? They don't put laurel wreaths on your head. They don't let you wear special uniforms. You're the 5th seed. Portland is the 5th seed. The NBA needs to change this just to help with the confusion.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those weird things because the NBA, I mean, NBA is made up of a lot of very intelligent people. I think we can say that. There's a lot of intelligent people sitting in offices at the NBA headquarters. They do a lot of really smart things in terms of marketing their game, in terms of growing the game, all of that. But this is one of those things that it sort of defies logic. I mean, if you're going to make them the 4 and they get all the advantages of being a 4, by all means, call them the 4. But why make them the 4 if they don't have home court advantage? It doesn't make any
It's ridiculous.
sense at all. Sure, stay with the best coverage team anywhere, newsok.com, and every day in the Oklahoman.